Today is July 9th. I am currently in Beijing, China. I am here for the Superman movie premiere that is happening tomorrow on the 10th. And then I return to Los Angeles on July 11th. And I have been on the road since June 14th. Haven't been home really since May 30th. The past month has been the most filled travel I've ever had, and it's been a dream. Really tired, yet so grateful. And this is something I always dreamed of. Just know the younger you would be so proud of yourself. Let's go back to Luke in, let's say 2010, which was 16 years ago. When he was 13 years old, his life revolved around video games. His life revolved around hanging out with his friends, playing some soccer. Even though he wasn't sure if he loved it, he did it because he felt that he had to. And then he also enjoyed his family. And he was on a continual search for himself, and he didn't really know what that looked like. And so he found that he really enjoyed making and editing videos. He loved the video game called Call of Duty, and on YouTube at the time, back in like 2010, it was just picking up steam to do like video game montages, putting together creative stuff like that. And so he dove super deep into that, and he continued to do that for the next like 4 years. Over that time period, he uploaded over 100 Call of Duty edits, and I'll link the channel here. And he was super proud of himself, and it was something that he was so passionate about creating that he wanted to do more with it, but he didn't know how. He continued on the path that was encouraged of him, because that's all the people around him ever knew, and all he knew at the time, which was diving into a college education. He loved his college education. He felt lost though, and he was like, oh, I'm good at math, so go and follow that path. But even deeper than that, he was a child who really was yearning for connection. His self, he always felt like he lived in the shadow of others, didn't think for himself. And this was not because of the surroundings that he lived in. He grew up in a loving family, which he's very grateful for, and had friends who loved him and accepted him for who he was. He just never came out of his shell. And it wasn't until after college, really, when he was about 21 years old, he went through a transformational period in his life where he was in a serious relationship. He had just graduated college. He had landed his first big boy job. Even backtrack a little more. He then discovered travel. He had traveled once in high school for this German exchange program, and he knew that that was something that lit him up and gave him so much life. Yet he didn't know how to expand upon that other than just enjoying and appreciating that time and being grateful for it. And then in college, he studied abroad. It opened his view of there is so much out there. And I think that's what kind of travel does. Everybody has different lives that they've grown up experienced. He had his lived experience from America, yet visiting places like Prague, Czech Republic, Budapest, Hungary, the Amsterdam, Netherlands, and meeting people from all different walks of life who had an incredibly different upbringing and perspective that showed that there was so much more life to live. There was so much more life to experience outside of what his known and traditional views were. And that lit a fire inside of him, but he didn't really know what to do with it, so he just let it brew. And he continued along the motions and the paces. He did what was asked of him. He graduated school. He got a big boy job, which he was very grateful for. He met this girl in his time in college that he thought was the one, and thought that he needed to get married and follow that path. So he did all those things, what he thought was right. So he continued to show up. He continued along his life until he realized that in order to make a change, he needed to lean into himself more. And one of those things was creating again and making video edits and picking up a camera and taking photos and doing videos. And when he studied abroad, he had a GoPro that he ran around with. That brought him so much joy. And at the time, he didn't realize that that would have such an impact and lasting memory that would stay with him until a few years later, when one of his co-workers was getting married and he offered to film their wedding. He was like, yeah, why not? he enjoyed making videos and he enjoyed using a camera, and that wedding changed his life. Felt this passion that he hadn't felt in a long time, and he knew that he had to pursue it. And then, what do you know? The video came out. A family friend of theirs asked Luke to film their wedding and was like, hey, I'll give you a few $100s. And he was like, what? I can make money doing this? And so he said, absolutely. And he dove into that. Months had passed and he realized how happy he was. Felt a sense of purpose, a sense of passion. While he was content with his life on a daily basis, he was like, if I can chase that feeling and that purpose, there's so much more life his current situation was. And he was also able to give more to the people around him, and people started to see his happiness and see the radiating energy that purpose gave him. And then he also was in the middle of leaving that relationship, it being not healthy at all. And then finally came the time where that relationship that he was in, the marriage, came to an end. And as soon as he was freed from that and got to see the world once again in a new light, he felt like a reborn person. Felt so grateful and blessed to have been given this opportunity to show up as himself in the world for the first time. He was like, if I can do that, I can do anything. He had this opportunity to leave his job. And it was probably the scariest thing he has ever done. Fast forward 5 years with a lot of things that happened in between. Here he is sitting in Beijing, China, after doing a world tour for the last 30 days where he visited London, Berlin, New York City, Shanghai, China, Seoul, Korea, and now Beijing, China. And 2 weeks prior to that, he was in Montana and Mexico City. 7 different locations in just over a month. And here he is sitting, looking out the window in Beijing, China, thinking, how did I get here? I'm still the kid at heart, growing up, thinking and yearning for more and wanting to be creative and trying to figure out how to do it and how to make it happen, and being able to wake up every day and do just that. Not every day is easy, but I'll take those days over not pursuing what I want to do a million times over. And I feel so grateful for all the people in my life who have supported me and shown up for me in ways that I'll never feel like I can repay them. By showing up as myself and giving my best self, that is the most rewarding thing I can give back to those people. And one of the key factors there wasn't me being talented with a camera, not being creative, not do some sort of flashy edit. It's being myself. Made that conscious decision to show up for myself first before I give back to others. Completely changed the trajectory of my life. And it can for you too, whether that be a career change, whether that be just like a daily habit that you have or something that you want to learn. Choosing yourself and being yourself is the biggest key in this life, because you're the only person that can be you, and you're the only person who can be you. And that's so one of one that everyone in this world needs that. Imagine that. One of 7 billion plus people who live in this world, and there's only one of you. How powerful is that? And that is the needle mover. That you being you. Like, that's it. Just be yourself. I know it may sound super simple, but time and time again, people have said that. You just have to be yourself, be authentic, be genuine, show up how you would want your younger self to see you, your future self, and also your kids, your family, your parents, relatives, anyone. Over time, you will feel some sort of spark. What that is, you'll have to define for yourself. But show up for you first, be selfish, and then give back to others. Because when you're choosing yourself first, gain this energy that you've never had before, that you're able to give back to others and be your highest and fullest self. And I'll close with this. I heard this school of thought. How would you show up if you had a film crew following you, documenting your life? Just think about that. Would you show up any differently? Just know that your life is so unique and important that being yourself is all that the world asks for. I love you. Thank you for being here, coming along this journey of life and spending a few minutes of your life with me today. I love you. And just know the younger you would be so proud. Even if just for one of you out there, this inspires you to aspire to be more, be you, then it's all worth it.